Good morning, everybody, all you wonderful members of this team and all the people that are running with it. We are so glad to have you this morning. And first things first, I must make a confession. On Saturday, I had a violation with Facebook, whatever that is. So as a result, I am in Facebook jail for 3 days. Good morning, everybody. All you wonderful members of this team and all the people that are running with it. We are so glad. Alrighty, that's just the echo from the other platform. So like I was saying, I am on Facebook jail. So we can't send this signal on Facebook. So right now it's on YouTube. But there's something very, very interesting that I was having as a conversation with a good friend of mine. He's a friend and a colleague, and he's also somebody that actually in the past has made major inputs when it comes to managing the RevWalter brand and giving a lot of brand direction and guidance. So I take his insight very, very serious. And he was reminding me something I know. He said, all activity that we do on these platforms, we must bear in mind one thing. We don't own those platforms. So we don't own Facebook. We don't own YouTube. We don't own Twitter. We don't own anything really. These platforms belong to the people that run them. And remember, they run them free. We access them for free. So because we access them for free, they have their terms and conditions by which they run them. And if at any time they feel we have violated whatever those terms and conditions may be, they will carry out punitive measures, which include being, banned or being closed down or being temporarily disabled. And I mean, there are many accounts that have even been permanently closed by the owners of these platforms, especially those who operate in the truth space like the one I operate in. So many times you will find there's a violation. Sometimes it's their robots which get it wrong, the AI, but it really doesn't matter at the end. The lesson is still the same. The lesson is they own the platform. And because they own the platform, you may have 2 million followers. It doesn't matter. They don't belong to you. And that's why one of the great strategies we use in digital marketing, which I even forgot as a person who runs these things, is to always get people to subscribe, move them to a platform you control. And usually the most ideal platforms today are either, the most or the best is the website. And after a website with all the various features and trinkets that allow for interaction with your clients, a subscription list, which you can actually download and own, because I can tell you this, even if you have 2 million followers on Facebook, you can't access that list. And I've tried in the past, you can't access that list. You can try to do a download list, it will never download. They are very clever. That's their list, and they use it for marketing purposes so that they can target adverts at you. That's how Facebook and everybody, including YouTube, make their money. So we have to realize that we don't own those platforms. So yes, we work a lot of times building a following or whatever it is, but we don't own it. And at any time we violate for whatever reason, host of reasons, they can actually switch you off and they can completely ban you. So you need to have your own website. And then number two, you need to have your own platform where you can convert and carry on further conversation. So it's an interesting scenario. And this is the first time I've actually experienced this, of being put in quote unquote Facebook jail. So it's a wake up call for me, because I learn a lot from these things. And I realize the kind of topics and subjects I carry, this may probably not be the last time I find myself in Facebook jail. So, which means if I'm going to build a following, and right now we're at 165,000 followers, if I'm going to get that followership to 1 million, and with the kind of subjects I speak of, definitely I'm going to be getting into more of this situation, because they censor. They may say they don't censor, but they do. They are the editors, they are the censors, they do control. And I'm aware this is a topic going on amongst many of our people in our space. We realize that there's a lot of censorship that's going on because there is a narrative out there that must be maintained. And if you go against that narrative, they will clip you, they will silence you. And that's why you need to have your own platform where you can carry this through. So we have some strategies up our sleeves. I will be working on those and putting them to effect very, very soon. In fact, I was just consulting with the expert to guide further on how we make that happen. Now, just before I come into the quantum lessons this morning, as always, Auntie Sylvia is on the call. She will do the usual morning greet, and then we jump straight to another very exciting topic around the quantum leap. Auntie Sylvia, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I look forward every morning, even if I sleep at 1 a.m., I know that I must always jump on to just greet you and just be exciting for the following morning, so that I just go on and make sure that I have got the energy, the power to conquer the world. The devil must get out of my way so that I can be able to thrive. This is why I'm saying, listen to these nuggets. They change your story. They tell your story better. It gives us the energy to network, to quantum leap with everyone who has got like-minded. Like this week is going to be great because of the coming together of the summit, Dr. Nelly, celebrating Dr. Nelly's birthday. So let's just listen and plug in and buy those tickets, because these are the nuggets that make us whole. So over to you, Rave.
Nice one, Auntie Sylvia. Thank you very much. So straight away, we're jumping into our lesson for today. And by the way, let me take this opportunity. I will be in touch with all those that are carrying out orientations. This morning, I may not be in a position to carry out the orientation because my little one is quite ill, so I need to do the whole hospital run. So that, and hospitals, you just never know. I mean, when you go to a hospital, it's not like, oh, by 10:30, I need to be out of there, that like joke of the century. So I need to do that, and then we see where that goes. So which means the orientation slated for today will be moved to tomorrow. Those who've been following will guide further. I also have some very good news. We have learned that using the Jeunesse system, we can be paid directly, but I won't go into more detail. Let me just prove it first. Tomorrow is payday. We all get paid on Tuesday. So let's see if the Tuesday money comes through. If the money does come through, then we know, yeah, it works. And then I'll give you some very good news on Wednesday going forward. So it's very exciting. I was chatting with my upline, Auntie Sylvia, about it. So we'll give you more details. So no orientation today, Mr. Msumali, Ellen. We'll do it tomorrow instead, so that I can focus on dealing with the baby girl. And I think I see Wakanaka on the call. So if they're on the call, we don't have our call this morning, which is gone off the call. All righty. Anyway, let's jump straight into our lesson for today. So today, we've been dealing with the whole idea of performance. I mean, why do we deal with the quantum leap? What is quantum leaping? Why are we so concerned about quantum leaping? Simple answer: because it deals with the issue of performance. Performance has been our baby since time immemorial, and because performance is our baby, we obviously want to make sure we're doing the best. So, which means when you operate in the realm of the quantum concept, we actually enhance our performance to the nth power. Nth power, not even squared with the nth power factor. So because of that squaring and nth factor in play, we want to see how best to ensure that performance is then sustained. And when it comes to performance and its enhancements, one's ability to follow and be faithful to the 5 laws I will share today is guaranteed to see a quantum leap in performance. And we've talked about the quantum leap over and over. And whatever organization it may be, a deliberate choice to follow these points through and actualize them will guarantee and increase the rate of output and corresponding results, okay? So if you apply these at whether it's personal level, group level, or corporate level, and see how much you manifest and make a noticeable difference in your output. When you apply these, you will see this massive performance take place. And so let's jump into those 5 laws. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, as usual, I always like doing this. I'm going to ask you to literally type down, as I mentioned. So I'll copy it, you type it down. This will help you a lot in terms of keeping track. So here's the first law. All right. Work that is monitored improves. Work that is monitored improves. What does that mean? What is to monitor? To monitor simply means to have a system where you are keeping track of what's going on. So that means, for example, in the program that Auntie Sylvia teaches, which is the Master Change program, she has all those charts and tables and books and diaries with all the different dates. And the concept of monitoring performance can also be demonstrated. I'm just looking for the book which actually I use. Well, it's not here. Oh, there it is. So this Map for Life, this particular book, when you study this book, what you're going to discover with this book is it has all these which follow performance. Okay, so there's a monthly planner. You will be able to use this to follow this 8 areas. So here you've got your performance in spirituality, so physical. What is your plan for that particular month? All right. And then what are the events that are going to come around that space? And then how are you going to monitor each particular day as you run? And then also you want to take notes of everything. Then you've got your weekly planner. So on a week-by-week basis, what are the things that you're doing in each of these areas? What are the big milestones you want to see? And how well are you running each milestone? All right. These are very, very important. So if you are starting the week, if you start your week on a Sunday, which for me, I think is the most ideal because Sunday is the first day of the week and then Saturday is the 7th day. So if you start your week on a Sunday, then the first thing you want to do there is take note of what you have planned in each of the 8 areas. What are the big achievements you want that week? But you see, you can't do that unless you have the monthly one. So what are the big milestones you want to achieve that month? You need to write them all down and you need to separate them according to the 8 key areas. Have you seen them? Spirituality, whatever. So once you separate them, you ask yourself, what are the big milestones I want to achieve that month? But then that doesn't make any sense unless you do the quarterly goals. And that's why us in our team, we offer something called the 1-year strategic roadmap. It's free. You can go download it in the Facebook group, which I can't get to because I'm banned. But when you go to the Facebook group, there is a section we've put there for you where you can actually download for free the 1-year strategic roadmap. It's about 20 pages long. It's fashioned around this design. And in it, you have all these key areas. So you can actually separate and say, in this 1 year, these are my goals. But remember, 1 year is technically middle term goals. Okay, so short term goals is up to 6 months. Medium term goals 6 months to 2 years, and long term goals 2 years and beyond. Ideally between 2 and 5 years, nothing longer than that. And so in your goal setting, you want to break it all down to the current situation. So in 2022, what are the big goals you want to achieve this year? So once you identify those goals, then you're going to lock them down, and then you're going to break it down into, well, of course, you got the goals already. So objectives and then actions under each objective, okay? And then separate them according to each area. So you've got your spirituality, health, you got your, mental, you got your family, the career, you've got your, all these different areas. And what you're doing now is being very deliberate mentor as well. So it's outlined, because when it's well outlined, then now you can monitor. Look, you can't monitor something you haven't even planned. How do you monitor something that you haven't even put a goal for? I mean, that means anyways, there's somebody once said, and I agree with them, they say that if you do not know where you're going, then anywhere is there. All right. That means wherever you reach in life, mwafik. even if it's not really what it's supposed to be. That's why it's so important to ensure that you don't just say anyways there. No, you got to know, I want to get to Chilenja Market. Okay, where am I? I'm in Shantumbu. How do I get there? That's very, very important. And I've heard people say, no problem. When you set goals, they never work anyway. Wrong attitude. You cannot play. Can you imagine a game of football with no goals? People just running up and down all over the field. I mean, that's boring. What's the whole point of running up and down over the field? I mean, are we exercising, or do we have some goals that we want to score? The point is, people want to score goals and then come out as the winners. So which means the objective of the team on the left is to score on the right. And the team on the right is to score on the left. And everybody is trying to do that and prevent the other from doing it. And that's what makes the game fun, because everybody's waiting to see who scores more than the other. And that's what proves that they have played better. So that's why monitoring is very important in performance. That, my friends, is your first mark and key that shows that you are actually doing something. So if you're not monitoring, if you're not sitting there keeping track of how you are operating, my friend, you are wasting tons of time. So you have to monitor what you're doing. You have to keep track of how you're doing it. So that's what monitoring is. It means you're keeping track of everything, which brings us to number 2. Work that is both monitored and reported improves greatly. So what does that mean? That means not only am I keeping track, I'm now reporting. You know, so there's something profound about a report. When you start writing something down, and then the next week you write again, and the next week you write again, or the next day, or the next 3 days, or the next fortnight, whatever. But as long as you got a monitoring interval and you're keeping track and recording, all of a sudden there is something called feedback. This performance starts to speak to you. So it's now talking. It takes a life. Because if you're just monitoring, okay, good. So we filled up the book again. Great. Okay, we filled up the book again. Great. Then what ends up happening is you have what I term a busybody. You're just actively doing stuff, but there's no real substance to it. It means you're just busy doing stuff. That doesn't help. What you want is not just to be writing down, not just to be monitoring. We're monitoring, yeah, we're keeping track. Yeah, no, but you are also doing what? Reporting. You're taking a piece of paper, a paper which has got some metrics or some key performance indicators on it, and you're filling those up. That is what reporting is. But remember, reporting doesn't just end with yourself. It usually goes to a supervisor. You see, that's what makes it better, because as you're reporting, that data is first speaking to you, and the next question you ask yourself is, am I happy with these results? And if the results are not good, you go, okay, these results are not nice. You see, because now they're speaking to you. You know, it's like the whole idea about weight loss. How do you go on a weight loss program and you're not keeping track of the vital statistics? In weight loss programs, there are usually 2 vital statistics, your mass or weight, as well as your measurements. Okay, these 2 are usually very, very good because they help to tell if you're losing weight or not. So when you start, you take your waist, you take all the parts that you want to trim and work on. And then after taking all the various, dimensions and measurements, then you also do the weight. You stand on a scale. And the secret is weigh on the same day, same time, same scale. So don't keep changing scales, because you know each one is calibrated differently. One will tell you 120 kg, the other will tell you 125. So that 5 kg is a big difference. And if that thing is out of calibration, it means it's not okay. So you're better off weighing using the same machine every day, or every time, so that you're using that as your reference rather than going and using different ones, because that's going to mess you up. So ideally, when you measure, what do? You write. You say, okay, week 1, weight 92 kilos, waist 38 or maybe 42, hip 52, whatever it is, I don't know. Bust 68, like wow, it's all over the place. But the point is, you're taking all these measurements, and then week 2 you come back, week 3 you come back, week 4 you come back. Now, if you're on a program and you're strict with that program, this data starts to speak to you. But here's something even more exciting. You are reporting, so you're handing this over to someone, and that in itself also helps further. Even the days when you don't feel like performing, when you look at that chart and that measurement, you realize, That's why on these phones, for example, those who do their walking exercises, running exercises, the phones really become great because they've got all these apps that can track how many kilometers you've run, where you ran, how long you ran for, how many calories you burned as you ran. Those are very, very good stats, and they keep track of that, okay? And that is what happens so that you are progressing. There's Auntie Sylvia actually confirming. You see, that is called the mindset program change process. Change is a process you have to monitor progress and report to yourself and your stakeholders. That's why normally there is also a group. That's why you get into groups, because in these groups, to encourage each other, you post your vital stats either every week or every day or every 3 days, whatever intervals you've agreed, but everybody posts their data in there. And then now all of you are able to kind of gain feedback from it. And here's now what the third performance item is. Very, very interesting. Let me show you. And this is profound, because this is what now takes everything to the next level. Let's take a look at this. There's number 3. Look at that. If that work is then also reviewed, it improves substantially. That's interesting, okay? If it is reviewed, okay? That's what it is, Auntie Sylvia. Groups, accountability partners. It is reviewed. So now you begin to review with each other. Hey, you've been doing this for 4 weeks. Your waist is not changing. Your weight is not dropping. I don't know what I'm doing. So somebody can say, you're definitely doing something wrong. Because if you're doing something right, you should have lost weight. Look at all your other colleagues. So that's now where, the experts can take a closer look. You can do a zoom in and you discover, oh my God, you mean you never cut out sugar? You mean you're still eating the same? You mean you haven't, so you discover that the person is doing all these things, but they've not changed certain aspects of their lifestyle. And of course, nothing is going to happen. So they have to change. But that only happens when the results speak to you. They say results speak. There's a saying, which I like so much, although it's not really related, but I just like it anyway. It says, your actions are so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. Okay? What that basically means is that actions will always speak louder than words, always. And in monitoring and evaluation, your results are everything. It's not the activity that matters, but the results. And in the new age of performance appraisal, the new style of management is focusing more on results rather than activity. You see, in the old days, it was about activity. So you punch in 8, you sit in that factory, you walk out at 5 o'clock. Now, what was your output in those hours you were sitting in there? How much work did you do? No one really knows, but you were in the factory on the floor. So you see, so there was a lot of room for a lot of what I would call skiving, where people are you are present, but you're not really performing. You look like you're busy, but you're not really doing anything. Laptop is open. You look like you're working on your laptop, can't you, on social media? You see, and it's very easy, because when a supervisor comes nearby, you just do an alternate and tab, and boom, your screen changes instantly, and people will think that you're actually working, when in reality, you are on social media. So you're not working. So in the new way of operating, they've moved away from activity. They don't even care about activity. They don't even care if you're even in the office. What they care about is a list of results. You're given some work, and at the end of a period, what are you producing from the work? That is the way of the future. So in fact, we're getting to a time in the future where they will just be paying for results. It will no longer be how many days you work. No, it's about how much work you gave, how much output you brought. That, my friends, is what it is. And true, and Sylvia, is cheating yourself, but you'll be amazed how many people cheat themselves. There are people who actually say, I'm on a fast, but they're busy snacking food. Like, really, stop cheating, stop lying to yourself. But then people are like that. They love the idea of showing as if they're actively involved in whatever it is, yet in reality, we know that they are not. So this is the challenge that a lot of people are facing, in that they do not realize how much they're cheating themselves. But the truth is that in a review setup, and that's why the saying says that if that work, which work? The work I spoke about earlier, the work that is monitored and reported, if that work is then what? is then reviewed, it is also reviewed, it improves substantially. So watch how that grows. So look at the rate of improvement. So the first one tells us that work that is monitored improves. The second one tells us that work that is both monitored and reported improves greatly. So there's actually an incremental improvement to that once you add the component of reporting. But then if it is reviewed, there is a substantial improvement. So that means you're literally moving from a incremental improvement to a substantial improvement. It could even double in output. It could even treble in output simply because there's a reviewing. That means there's people giving feedback. So it's not just you giving yourself feedback, but you have an accountability team, and that accountability team is saying, hey guys, I think this area there's a challenge, Walter. What have you done here? Did you do this? Did you try that? You said, you know what, I've been struggling in this area. Okay, let's look at these results again. So this is one of the reasons why, for example, people like myself with the work we're doing on social media, we really watch those numbers in the back end because those numbers speak volumes and give you an idea of what's going on. For example, which posts seem to gain the most attention? What is the makeup of your audience? What's their age group? Who are you communicating? This type of feedback is very important. And then based on whatever your objective is, then you are able to drive your whole message into those areas. You can actually craft entire campaigns around those particular groups, and social media and the digital space allows you to target these groups very powerfully in ways you can't even begin to imagine. So that's what Google, that's what Facebook is doing, and that's how you can really build and gain from these platforms. So there's a lot involved when it comes to monitoring and reviewing as well. It improves substantially, which now brings us to the fourth item. Real quick, the fourth item is profound, and a lot of people miss this fourth one. This is why many don't see any growth. There it is. If it is then acknowledged and rewarded, it improves exponentially. Now you start to achieve what I'm calling a multiplier effect. When there is an acknowledgement, a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, they ignore this at their own peril. Humans crave acknowledgement. Humans crave to be recognized. It is nothing to do with how much money you pay. It has got everything to do with affirming people for doing the right thing. All humans like it. We remember that even as kids, that was the reason we tell little kids like, oh, this is a really good girl. When you tell her to take a plate, she'll take it. And then like a little kid just quickly takes the plate, because you know why? They get the big head effect. It's a common feeling of being appreciated. All humans, that thing doesn't go away. Even adults want to be acknowledged. And that's why even a simple mention by name, by a leader to an individual is profound. A simple phone call from a leader to someone who they wouldn't even expect. And you tell them, hey, we are watching what you're doing. We love the fact that you're doing what you're doing. We believe in you. We know that you have what it takes. We love you. We appreciate your input. Just that. Just a simple phone call like that. I'm telling you, game changer. Game changer. That individual feels like Cloud9. They feel so encouraged. They feel so motivated. They realize that they're actually seen. That's why, for example, in some churches, what they do when new visitors come in, those numbers are collected. They don't just keep those numbers for decoration. Somebody actually calls and actually talks to those new people. For example, another strategy, when new visitors come to the church, they are asked to sit at the front, and the pastor will personally greet them and speak to them and thank them for coming through. Those are little strategies where you are acknowledging people. Now, it also turns the other way when people have been faithful in any given setup or endeavor or have performed well, whether it's a company or it's an organization. Rewarding individuals can work very powerfully. And that's why you see a number of places they'll put employee of the month poster and picture there in the store. This is because when somebody has performed well and you do that, it really gives them a great sense of self-worth. It reinforces the fact that they are recognized and appreciated. That I actually call it RAP, recognize, appreciate, and praise. Every human being looks for that. And I tell you, if you carry this out in your organization, I guarantee you it is more powerful than paying money. Money is great. Bonuses are great. But if you can do that, you take it to the next level. Which brings us to the last item and we close. If the above are repeated consistently, you will achieve quantum leaps in performance. So if you want to achieve quantum leaps, cycle those 4 items. Cycle those 4 items. Begin to do them repeatedly. What did I say? Number 1, work that is monitored improves. Number 2, work that is both monitored and reported improves greatly. Number 3, if that work is then also reviewed, it improves substantially. Number 4, if it is then acknowledged and rewarded, it improves exponentially. And lastly, number 5, if the above are repeated consistently, you will achieve quantum leaps in performance. So that, my friend, are your 5 keys. And the question is, not the question, but the point is, write down clearly ways in which you can apply the above laws into your day-to-day activities in the 2 areas. Number 1, your workplace, and number 2, your personal life. I'm not telling you to write it now in the chat box. I'm just giving you that as homework to go think deeply about and ask yourself something there. How do you make this happen? How do you make this occur? How do you bring about this improvement in your life and in what you do? How do you make these 5 laws become a reality when it comes to how you go about? Now, one thing I really find very profound is I've been studying and working on these for a while, and I think with all my heart that I am actually a proprietor of those 5 laws. And so I've always indicated it, even in my books everywhere, that I learned these 5 laws in a different way from another great man who I came to admire greatly. One of my earliest mentors, Mr. Vance Levitt, a Canadian man from the UK who was my sales guru. This man was a sales guru, and I'm not exaggerating. He was awesome. And he had the 5 laws of performance, but they were different. And so I could never remember what they are. So that's how I came up with these. But for me, these are profoundly powerful. And if any one of you can learn how to run with these and actually, apply them in your performance appraisal, in your performance operations, in your areas of life, I guarantee, I'm not even kidding, I guarantee you're going to see improvement in your performance. You're going to see improvement in everything you do. So there you have it. We come to the end of the presentation for today. And one thing I always do is remind you that we're on tomorrow. Okay, there you go. There's Auntie Sylvia actually reaffirming. She's saying for people in MCP, we have Success Planner where you enter the activities. We start the next 16 hours of unlearned old habits and relearn new ones tomorrow. So which means tomorrow she's actually going to be coming through and really driving the point home with these areas. I personally know for a fact that that stuff taught there is a life changer. So you want to be a part of that. It's amazing. We're getting people onto our platforms. I've got a platform we're running with. We're getting people on that platform, but I noticed that a lot of people are just good at following the flow. They are very excited with stuff, but very few are willing to pay the price. And that's what makes life so funny, because the ones who pay the price gain the right. And those who don't pay the price, they remain servants of those who pay the price. Let me tell you, pay the price in whichever area of your life. Do what it takes to become a leader, and I assure you, you will eat the benefits. You will reap the benefits of what you're doing. For a lot of people, they never do. They just wish, they just think, this is 2022. Watch, we'll get to the end of the year. There'll still be people following us on this thing, and they will not be doing anything about improving their lives. They'll be like, oh, this is powerful stuff. This is good stuff, but they'll never take on any programs that we run here. And I tell you, we run a lot of really powerful programs, but unfortunately, most people just don't have the discipline to do what I've just outlined today. The 5 laws of performance are a key transformative process. Next week, I am going to actually absolutely repeat consistently. Next week, I am actually going to come through and show you a quantum leap in scripture from Jesus. And it's such a powerful example of how many miss it. And this is Jesus himself demonstrating how a quantum leap works in scripture, because people go, in scripture? Yes, I'm going to show you one very well-known story there, and you'll see for yourself. So tomorrow, Auntie Sylvia is on. Wednesday, Anne is on. Thursday, Dr. Nelly's on, and you know, Dr. Nelly, that will be our last day just before the big event on Friday. We're all excited about it. And Friday, of course, for those who follow the Christian calendar, is also Good Friday. We enter into the Passover period, very, very solemn period for many Christians. So Friday, we have Good Friday, Saturday, we have Holy Saturday, Sunday, we have Resurrection Sunday, and Monday is the holiday after that. So we look forward to all those events. For those of us who follow the Christian calendar, I don't know how many of you are on Lent. So if you're following your Lent thing, continue it right through until Good Friday itself. Alrighty, so you'll be blessed. I will share it. It's actually sitting on YouTube. When I am back on Facebook after they stop, they take away they open the keys and let me out. Then I'll be able to share on my platform and of course here on these platforms.